Shut up and sit down.
That's awesome.
Hey, it's where the big boys play. SICW.
Welcome to Squid Read Podcast, everybody. Episode 60. Today we're going to find out if Jim poached anybody for recruiting purposes and what happened this last weekend.
Poached is such a strong word. I would like to say recruited.
I'm gonna say you're not taking them away from any shows, so it's not poaching. You're just giving them more business.
Just bringing them to the best show.
Yep. So so it was Friday. We went to, me and Nick and a friend of ours named Don. We went to the Squared Circle Expo. Not to get mixed up with our name, Squared Ring, but Squared Circle Expo. Now, it was a Friday and Saturday thing, and we only went to the Friday one. But it was great. You know, our friend Don, he went mainly to get autographs. Me and Nick had other plans. We wanted to, hit up some of the wrestlers or some of their managers and see about, if they were available for the May show or even next year's May show if they were already booked this year. So I think we made some waves. Nick handed out his phone number to just about everyone we ran into. So, Al Snow was there. The Hardy Boys was there. Even what's his name? I talk about him all the time because he's got a YouTube video thing.
Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona. Yeah, so even Matt Cardona and his entourage, because he, always brings in, a lot of wrestlers. Was it Myers is one of them. He brings in Heath Slater. I forgot what his real name is. And then what's the proper word? A short person? I can't think of his name.
Midget?
He was, huh?
Midget?
Yeah, but I couldn't figure out his. I was trying to say short person because that's the proper way. But he was the guy that was Vince McMahon's
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle, yes. Again,
You
forgive
could
me.
have just said the leprechaun from the movie.
Right. So we hit up a lot of people. So it's all about them calling Nick back and, then allowing the negotiations to begin, So this is the part where I step aside and then Nick and everyone above me take over and try to work deals out.
And if anyone's curious, Hornswoggle's real name is Dylan Mark Postel.
Dylan. Man, they say it all the time. Dylan, too. I can't believe
it's almost like you have somebody in your family named Dylan. That should be a kind of easy one.
Can't put my finger on it.
You would think, but sometimes it's confusing.
I say he's about, your height, looks you in the eye almost.
But so it was,
you're gay sometimes.
I hope we get either the same amount of people or more people to ours, because this place you had to go in through the front door, and then you had to basically show your tickets that you had bought to this place to get your wristbands. So you had to wait in this line to get that before you can start roaming around. And I tell you, the line moved pretty quick, but that line was a maze in this hotel because it was, same thing like ours. It's a hotel with a ballroom and other little miniature rooms. And this line, weaved you out through the hotel. But it was going by so quick. It was a dual line, so it was, the end where you needed to be was a dual part, so they were hammering people in and out. But then it was so laid back like ours. You have free reign of the whole first floor, and the first floor is like all the wrestlers were in. Picture a big ballroom, and then like a hallway shaped as an L, and there's like a whole bunch of little rooms along that L shape, and they were everywhere. So like in the main room, you had all the people that were selling, wrestling figurines, action figures, and posters and everything. And you had like Victoria in there. You had Rip Rogers in there. You had Al Snow was in the main. What was his name? Hootin' Toot Guerrero was in there. Hootin' Tootin'. I know that's not how you say it.
Juventud. One of the ones that got me into watching wrestling. Juventud Guerrero.
Jimmy Hart was in the main. The new version of ECW, the blonde girl. You know who I'm talking about? She eventually made it just over to Raw and everything like that, but she was like the youngest.
Yeah, you're EC3, not ECW.
No, I'm talking about ECW. The blonde girl in it. When Vince McMahon started it over again, there was a blonde girl, and she always did this like strip routine, but they wouldn't show anything because she was supposed to be so young. And then eventually she went over just to Raw and started doing all the other stuff over
I
there.
don't know, when you're talking about strippers and Raw, Bobby's the only, would be the one for that one.
Man, she doesn't wrestle anymore. Mike Knox used to be her, like they used to be a couple in ECW. But she was in there. Honky Tonk Man was in the main. And then like on the outskirts, you had the Nation of Domination. They were all together. So you had Ron Simmons, Mark Henry, and Godfather, and D'Lo Brown. They were all sitting together. And this right here, what you seen the picture from, this was very cool. So kind of like how we're doing Friday's show, being that one-man show. Well, they had 4 1-hour like interview sessions. That one of them was with the Nation of Domination. So during their time, they would get up on stage and like it would be in a totally separate room, and you could fill in, and they would just talk shop, history about the Nation of Domination. And man, that was like,
is the girl you're looking for Kelly Kelly?
yes.
I say she was actually a pretty good wrestler too, though.
Which was kind of weird too, because she was so young when she was in there, and then like they let her go, or she left, one of the two. But she still looks young enough to where she could just pop right back in right now if she wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this whole Nation of Domination, they talked about how they end up getting together, and how they had D'Lo as basically the guy who would do all the matches, and they brought in Mark Henry because he was a young wrestler, and they wanted him to learn from Ron Simmons. But then
it's a good mind to learn from,
right? And the Godfather was still Papa Shango at the time, and he was actually on like a leave, and they were talking about bringing him back as this meaner version of Papa Shango, like he should have been in the beginning, where he was kind of like cool and mystical, and then they really kind of like dulled him down. Well, he was supposed to come back and be this real good Papa Shango, kind of like you would see something, that would come out of like New Orleans and be like that scary type of character.
Well, here's the question: was this before or after Undertaker?
He fought Undertaker as Papa Shango before.
Okay, I'm gonna say if it was before Undertaker, we may not even ever seen an Undertaker, because it almost sounds a little bit kind of cross with that.
Well, it's kind of weird too, because if you go back in the history books in the WCCW area, when the Undertaker was there, Godfather was there, and he was called the Undertaker. So it's kind of weird. I think the Undertaker Mark Calloway was called Red River Jack.
Yeah, I remember
At
that.
that time. And then he was something. It was another name added onto it, but it was something the Undertaker. So that's kind of weird that he used the name that eventually Mark Calloway would end up having, being the actual Undertaker. But so they talked Godfather to come back and be in Papa Shango again. And then we finally met up with Vince. Vince says, no, we actually got this group we're trying to put together, and it's missing a person, and we would like you to change gimmicks and be with this group. So there was no more Papa Shango, and then he joined the Nation of Domination. What I think was one of their best stories that they told. And I tell you, Mark Henry was the talkative one out of the bunch. And it was like maybe Mark had a couple extra drinks in him because they were all laughing and having a great time. But Mark was the one that brought up the story about Ahmed Johnson. Now, if you, I have not heard this story before. I've heard the story about Ron Simmons and Ahmed Johnson getting into it in real life, but I never heard this story. So I'll tell you the Ron Simmons story first. And this one you can find on YouTube, or you can even find it on some WWE shows that they actually talked about this, where
Or you
Ron
can keep
Simmons.
watching here and let Jim hear from you. Even better.
Well, Ron Simmons and Ahmed Johnson had a match together. Now, Ahmed Johnson is a big black guy, big muscle built guy, but Ron Simmons, he is the legend. Even back then, he was the legend. He was the first world black heavyweight champion. He won the NWA/WCW title, and that just made shockwaves altogether.
Yeah, but people pause and zoom in on it. That's from last week. That's Ron Simmons there on the far right from where we're sitting, and that dude is huge still.
Oh yeah, but Ahmed Johnson, and even I stole a move from Ahmed Johnson because it's something that you like certain wrestlers, and then you find out other things about them behind the scenes. So his finisher was the Pearl River Plunge. It's kind of where you butterfly hook your opponent's arms behind their back, and then you actually pick them up for a slam. And I always loved that finish. And so when I, first started getting into wrestling, I used that as a finisher. Besides a choke slam, every big tall guy uses the choke slam. But just a little cream to the crop, always used the Pearl River Plunge when I could, because you can't do that to big guys. You can always only do that to smaller guys.
What are you
But
saying?
anyhow,
You've done that to me.
I have a few times. But so Ron Simmons and Ahmed Johnson is in a match, and evidently Ahmed was not pulling his punches and his kicks, and really fucked up Ron Simmons. Broke a few ribs. I think there was some sort of muscle tear. I think it was what can you tear, the liver or the kidneys? It was one of those two.
You can tell both of them.
Well, one of them was torn, so it put Ron Simmons on the shelf for a while. And then when he was scheduled to come back, no one really knew he was coming back. And it was either D'Lo or Mark Henry first seen Ron, and he said that Ron didn't even come up and talk to him. And they're in the same group, and he was just pissed off the whole night. And then like Teddy Long, they got in a conversation, Mark Henry and Teddy, and like Teddy was like, just sit back, leave Ron alone. He is going to retaliate against Ahmed Johnson tonight because Vince knows what's up and is going to put them in a match together. And so, they had the match, and Ron Simmons just beat the piss out of Ahmed Johnson. Legitimately just beat the piss out of him. And so, I mean, I've heard that story many a times from multiple different people. and it was just the receipt that Ron owed Ahmed Johnson for him not lining up on his kicks and really fucking him up. So in return, Ron got his receipt back. Well, he gave his receipt. So the story they told on this night, evidently, it was easy to get Ahmed Johnson pissed off, and Triple H was kind of involved in this, where they were telling a story, and Ahmed Johnson went to say something. It was kind of gibberish. We couldn't really understand him, and Triple H was like asking him, "Can you repeat that one more time? I didn't quite hear you." And Triple H was just fucking with him. So he starts repeating himself about someone's going to get their ass beat, and Triple's like, "I'm sorry, man. It's like you're muttering. One more time. Can you say that one more time for me?" And so Ahmed Johnson was getting pissed off, and he said it again, and Triple H again was like, "Man, I can't understand you." And D'Lo Brown had mocked him, and Ahmed Johnson got pissed off and was going over to D'Lo, and he had something in his hand, and he went to hit D'Lo with it, and they said D'Lo was just sitting down, just nice, and then as Ahmed was coming with the swing, he said all he did was duck around. Ahmed fell to the floor because he went with all of his power, and then D'Lo just climbed on his back and just beat the piss out of him and took his head and washed his face against the floor a few times. And it was just hilarious, especially with all four of them, joking about it and laughing about it all at the same time as Mark Henry is telling it, because D'Lo didn't even want to tell it, because he said he couldn't give it justice. And Mark, man, he was just great telling this story. And it's just so weird that that was one of the guys I looked up to growing up. Being a WWF kid / WWE kid, Ahmed Johnson was always not like a Hulk Hogan, but he was like the black version of a Hulk Hogan. He was big. He was, always the good guy. And just to hear the backside stories about him, about how he thought he was tougher than anyone, and for both stories, for him to get his ass whipped each time, it's just funny.
The only thing I really remember about Ahmed Johnson was his feud with Gold Dust, where Gold Dust kisses him and it leaves the silver paint all over his lips. Now, I did look up the Godfather's ring names. I didn't find Undertaker, but I found Soul Taker.
Soul Taker, that's what it was. Yes, Soul Taker.
I was like, he went through quite a few different gimmicks that I don't remember. Like you being a WWE guy, Kama and Kama Mustafa had said were there.
Yeah, so that was when he was in the Nation of Domination.
Oh, was that his name there?
Yeah, so he did, Papa Shango, he did Kama, and then when he went into the Nation, that's when they added that other part to it. Kama Mustafa or whatever it was. But the great thing about the Nation getting together, since they retired from the WWE, they said that was only the second time all four of them got together. So that was kind of cool to be in that room, listening to them tell their stories, knowing that this is the second time that this story could have been out there, or even the first time. It's just that it was the second time they've been together since they retired.
There was another member to that group, a little young whippersnapper.
Yeah, and they talked about him a lot too. So that would be
he didn't make it.
That would be The Rock, and when he first started out, he was Rocky Maivia, and he was the baby face, and he just couldn't get over, and they almost let him go. If you read his biography, they were saying if he wasn't going to get over soon, they were going to cut him, and then they allowed them again to join the Nation and learn from Ron Simmons, and most of his catchphrases, like what was the main one? You better know, or
know your role and shut your mouth.
Know your role and shut your mouth. That was Ron Simmons. the other three guys said the same thing. That was something that Ron Simmons used to tell all four of them if they were ever speaking out of line or fucking around. That was his saying, and The Rock just took it and made it, so popular with it. But yeah, they all said that if it wasn't for Ron, one, there wouldn't be any other member of the nation, but there wouldn't be a Rocky either, because it was towards the end of the Nation of Domination. It was, The Rock being the leader or Ron Simmons was the leader, and that was the focus back and forth. But what Ron said was they had to break up the Nation of Domination because just kind of like DX was when DX was together, it was The Rock in the main versus whoever the champion was. It was Ron Simmons for the Intercontinental champion, whoever that was. And then you had D'Lo and Kama, for the tag straps or even singly. So you figure that was like 4 or 5 matches on every single card that the nation would be involved in. And, Vince has this weird thing where he'll only let you run together for so long, even if it's working. But all 5 of those guys are so popular that they even knew it was time for them to split because they were only making the money as a group. But they knew individually they would be able to make more money doing their own thing. And, Ron Simmons, he ended up tagging with JBL and created one of the hottest tag teams, Acolytes.
Yeah, they did all right.
Yeah, you had Mark Henry become Sexual Chocolate, which was, I think, one of his best gimmicks. And then, the Godfather, he became the Godfather, so he had all the pimps, and not the pimps, but he had all the hoes and the whole train and everything. And then you had D'Lo, who, again, was their workhorse, but they talked about, he wore a vest, kind of like how the Shield came out. They would wear these vests to the ring. Well, his vest was like a chest protector. And he was even able to get over with that. And he ended up being the Intercontinental Champion. He ended up being the European Champion. And then The Rock became the World Champion. So, that group was so good, and that each individual was so good as well that they all broke out. And, even Mark Henry became the World Champion.
They did some dominating.
Yeah, they dominated, and they knew that there was going to be more money separate than all together because eventually it just ran out,
Well, let's watch your short from your YouTube page. Everybody go to Jim's YouTube page, James Hoffarth on YouTube.
Well, that looks great.
Okay,
I love.
I really love what they did with the background there.
The
The foreground needs a little work.
There we go.
I was pretty excited when I got the D'Lo Brown shirt. He is very underrated, I think.
Yeah, so the volume's not working, but it was playing the Nation of Domination theme song.
You do know that when this is going, nobody can hear you guys talk, right?
What the hell?
The sound drowns you out.
It's not playing any sound.
I know because I paused it to let you know that we can't hear you.
Well, timing.
I'm hoping the video is picking up the sound.
It's on the back of the announcer's jacket.
Each announcer was different because when I was
Because
going
it's shooting
through,
stars.
well, I'll tell you after this video clip is over. Okay.
At
That
least
way,
you guys could hear each other
yeah, we can hear each other.
because it runs through my mic and my headphones. I can't hear anything you guys were saying, only the bass from that.
Well, we can hear you, but it says your microphone's off right now.
Yeah, I ran it. I had to run it through the PC because the old cord was bleeding, so it was allowing interference to come in.
Listen to all that techno jargon.
So anyway, they had, like I said, 4 little sessions that you can sit in, and I caught. The funny thing is I was having such a great time just roaming around because after I did everything that I needed to do with Nick, all 3 of us were just on our own. We just went our separate ways because Nick has a gift of gab as well. And so he would sit with one person and talk to them for 20, 25 minutes. And, I'm not that. I mean, I do have a gift of gab, as you can tell. But when there's so
I was
much
just
shit
going to
going
say,
on,
with both you and Nick there, if Bobby and I went, we would have to just.
well, no, see, that's the thing. With so much stuff going on, I wanted to be everywhere and anywhere. So to spend 25 minutes with a single person, that was just too long for me. So I went, of course, I always figure hunt. So I went figure hunting, and Nick stayed with the pack that he knew.
Nick
And
knows
then, like
everybody
I
well.
said, Don was in and out of lines trying to get autographs. And this one thing I think I like about our Mayfest is the autographs are not crazy expensive. When Matt and Jeff Hardy was there, you couldn't get the signatures different. I mean, like if you only wanted Jeff's autograph, actually I think you could, but they were mainly selling their autographs together, and it was $200. So you had to bring a lot of money if you were just going there to get autographs.
I respect the hustle, but sorry, they're not that big of a draw.
Well, actually, they are. So most of
For
these
that much.
people, well, let me just say, um, there was lines for everyone, but they were quick lines. When Matt and Jeff Hardy came out, their line was in a small room. I mean, they were in a small room, and then it wrapped around down the hallway, down another hallway, outside the building, and then down the side of the building. And these are people that were whipping out $200 or $100 if they wanted a one autograph, or and to me that's crazy money. And then
Crazy, right?
you also had other people like Lita. She was selling hers $50 an autograph, and so you get a person like Don throws $150 down, for to get a couple things autographed by one person. Now some of them
And
have like
Herb,
tiers.
and yeah, but Herb is the exact opposite. He tells them they can't charge that much.
Right. He wants it to be cheaper for everyone. And they did have some that had tiers. It'll be $20 for autograph, $20 for a picture and an autograph. If you're using their pictures that they bring, and then they kind of go up like that. Matt Cardona was like
Yeah,
$50.
but one sec before we get into our best friend Matt that only sends emojis to you. Hopefully he gave you more than that this weekend, trying to get his butt here.
Well,
the last Mayfest, everybody watching, I'm friends with both these guys and business partners with both these guys, and they still charge me for an autograph.
I don't remember
No, you didn't.
that.
April Fools. That was my April Fools joke, and those,
Except for this one air on April Fools.
But they had some people that it's hard to meet all at the same time because IRS and the $1 Million Man were both sitting together at their tables. Those two were normally, they weren't great friends afterwards. So you couldn't catch them both at the same place. But time normally heals all wounds. So they were sitting together. So I mean. to get both their autographs together on a photo of them or whatever as Money Inc. That's like a once in a lifetime thing. Let's see here. You have the picture of me and Jack Vaughn. Jack Vaughn is he's still considered an independent wrestler. He's been the heavyweight champion for Ohio Valley Wrestling for Al Snow. He's been around. Of course, he's called the Vet. But he's also known for his little skits on TikTok with the thigh slapping. So it's kind of really cool to meet him. I was talking to him for a minute. I was like, "Hey man, can I get a picture?" And I said, "I'll pay whatever you want." He goes, "Man, don't worry about it." So I ended up buying a picture of him anyway, just because you want to give to these guys. There he is, Mr. Jack Vaughn. Very cool guy. We actually talked for a few. And then they have a wrestling show both nights. So there's a wrestling show Friday night, a wrestling show Saturday night. There's a little part that technically I wasn't supposed to be in. It was for wrestlers, but when you go out and drive 4 hours away, they don't know you're a wrestler. But me and Jack talked earlier when we took this photo, and I told him, I said, I'm from SICW, St. Louis Wrestling, and so he knew I was a wrestler, so I was like in the back with them on this section where we could watch the show, and he was very cool. As a matter of fact, all the wrestlers that were working the show was really cool too. They were just there, just like me, trying to meet the legends that they wanted to see and to be on a show, just like we do on our May 18th. All the local wrestlers will come in and hang out with all the legends, and then we personally do a show that night. Well, I only stayed there for Friday, but Jack was actually on the show Saturday night, so he did get to wrestle Saturday. So, but even him, he was very cheap on all of his stuff. I didn't go out and buy all of his stuff, but he was selling pictures with an autograph, like $10. And then he had some other things that he brought with him that he would sell. So, I mean, there was a lot of people that you could meet that wasn't charging an arm and a leg. So it was a wide range. And like I said, I did do a little shopping while I was there, kind of looking out for those LJNs. It was funny because I had the wife shoot me pictures of my collection so I can bounce back and forth of which ones I needed. Because in my head, I knew I had almost the whole collection once before. So in rebuilding my collection, I can look at a bunch of them and say, man, I had all those. But wait, I sold them. So what do I have now? So I had to have the wife. Yeah, so she had to shoot me some pictures so I can kind of match up. But I ended up having the ones that they had. So I did grab two. I did grab the original AWA Ric Flair. So that was kind of cool to get the original Nature Boy. Because LJNs and was it Amco, I think, was coming out with these roughly around the same time. Because the people that made these actually had the bid for the LJNs. And then at the last minute, Vince McMahon said, no, we're going to go with this other company.
Now,
And so,
that have movable arms though? I didn't think any of the LJNs did.
no, this is an Amco or Amco. LJNs were not movable, but these guys were. Now, these actually came out like right before the LJNs. I mean, they were both trying to send them out as at the same time or trying to beat each other. And they came out just a little bit before the LJNs. But that was kind of cool. And then I had to pick up Dusty, from the Hasbro line. I never had Dusty, so that was kind of cool. But those are the only two that I picked out. But they
Pick
had
him up right
so
before his
many.
son loses Sunday?
What?
Pick him up right before his son loses Sunday?
No, his son's gonna win this Sunday. What are you talking about? got to finish the story for Dusty.
Nah, I can finish another 10. It's Bloodline 10.
But I would have to rate this expo pretty good. Probably a 10 out of 10 because there's so much stuff you can do. Like I said, I was just roaming around having a good time, and I forgot about the 1 hour sessions that I wanted to hit. So once I remembered, I caught half of Nick Nemeth. What's his WWE name? Dolph Ziggler. I caught the last half hour of his. And it was pretty cool too because he was talking about how he had such a long career there. He had been world champion, and he was the guy that you could have a great match with, whether he be heel or baby, it didn't matter. And then he also talked about how if you were scheduled to have this great match with another opponent and that opponent didn't show up, you can easily stick him in there and he would just have a great match with you. You can check out all the Randy Orton matches that he had with Dolph, and they're all classics. And the way he took Orton's move, the RKO, every one of them was different, and he tried to make that special, he said. But towards the end of his career, he said he was just waiting to get let go because they weren't pushing him to do anything. But like he said, if someone didn't show up, they would throw him in there. So he didn't know if he was going to work that night or didn't work that night, but he was always ready. And they used him as that. Well, someone's not here. Let's just throw Dolph in there, but
Yeah, it'll be a good match.
Yeah, it'd be a good match, but there would be no push for him. So he said towards the end, he was just waiting to get let go. He had saved all his money, and he had easily a 10-year plus career with them. So he saved all his money. So he said he was good to be cut at any time, and he was just waiting. But his talent is what kept him there, even though I guess someone in the back didn't like him, so they didn't push him. But he was so happy to get let go, and then he was so happy to do a small circuit and then land. Of course, he's in TNA right now. So I kind of thought he would land in AEW because that's where his brother is. But he went with TNA. But it was cool listening to that, and like I said, Nation of Domination session was awesome. I didn't get to any other ones because they had some things going on at the same time. Like the wrestling show started at 8, and so you can either run the whole rest of the convention and meet other guys, or you can start watching the wrestling. Well, I had been there since it opened, so I started watching the wrestling. But then we went out to dinner and came back, and Nick loves karaoke, so we were going to stop. Well, we did stop by there, but there was no one in the karaoke room. So of course, Nick wants to sing to a whole bunch of people, not just one or two. So we didn't do that. So we were just roaming around.
You?
Huh?
He didn't want it to be like a one-on-one serenading you?
No, I didn't want that either. So. Now, Jeff Hardy he's got like a band that he plays with, and he was going on around 11:30 that night. But we didn't stick around for that. About that time, I guess it was about 10:30, we just got in the car and headed back. Now, the guy I wanted to meet and would have loved to pull into our Mayfest was Ultimo Dragon. And I think I mentioned that last episode that I have his original figure, and I wanted him to sign it. And I thought originally he was going to be there both nights, but he was only there Saturday. So that kind of sucked. And I see pictures from other people that had pictures with him. Like Al Snow took a whole bunch of pictures. Scott Romer, the guy who's coming in for our Mayfest, he's a photographer. He took a bunch of pictures and had the dragon in it. I personally just wanted to meet him. Let's see here. Sting also was only a Saturday. That the guy that we talked about before, he was in the UFC, then switched to WWE.
Dan Severn.
Who's been fired? Not Brock, but he was the guy who kept butting heads with Goldberg. Come on, you're the UFC guy. He, the guy who always did bro this, wore no shoes to the ring. Not ringing a bell?
Not ringing a bell, huh?
Oh my goodness. He's now worked for MLW.
Oh, Tank Abbott.
No, he recently was just let go from WWE. He used to be in the UFC, switched over to WWE. He was tag team partners with Randy Orton. And everything out of his mouth was bro.
Oh, yeah, I don't like him. Matt Riddle.
So he was a Saturday only thing as well. And he wrestled Saturday night as well. Let's see, Friday. I didn't stay.
I remember Matt Riddle feuding with Goldberg.
Oh, there was a big, not in the ring, but behind backstage. It was well known that he called Goldberg, a person that was just put in there. They just used him as a prop to get over, and of course, Bill took offense to that. And if you watch Goldberg's behind the scenes on his last run, they did a thing with his last run when he beat Brock for the Universal title. There was a scene where he ran into Riddle backstage, and he goes, "We really need to talk without these here," talking about the cameras. And Riddle was like, "Anytime, bro. Anytime you want to meet up, bro." And then Goldberg goes, "I'm not your bro." "All right, bro." Just kept antagonizing him.
All right, maybe I like Riddle a little more now.
Actually, I caught one of his first matches out of the WWE was against Rob Van Dam, and so I watched that match, and it was a great back and forth. And then another tag team came out and interrupted the match, so then they restarted over, and those two were tagging against this other tag team. So it was even cooler because you had, basically you could just call it the bro tag team because Rob Van Dam, he's big on pot and marijuana, and so is Matt Riddle, and so that's why they're the bro. They always look like they're high.
I was gonna say, I bet that was a big chill session after that match.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. So Matt Cardona was supposed to be there Friday and Saturday. Now Matt lost he was the championship of this show that was going on. I'm gonna butcher it. It was pretty close to our call letters. Instead of SICW, I think it was SCW. Southern Championship Wrestling, I think is the name of the group, instead of Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling. But Matt was the champion. He lost his belt, and they made statements because I got a statement saying that he threw a hissy fit after the match, that he lost that title, and he took his stuff and went home. And then anyone who signed on to get an autograph from him on Saturday, they would be reimbursed because he was a no-show for Saturday. Now, if you're a fan of wrestling, you would know that Saturday night he showed up on AEW and challenged his former, I wouldn't say manager because they were a group. And now I just lost his name too. Told you I'm so bad with names, but it was the guy who recently just left WWE and came to AEW, Chris Edge. So Edge is the TNT champion, and one of the guys he's doing this thing where he's doing this open challenge, and Matt came through for that open challenge. So I'm assuming that this is probably what happened, is he got a call either Thursday or Friday and said, hey, we would love you to come into AEW for this one night, but he was already booked for this expo, so he showed up Friday, and then together they probably made an excuse for him not to be there Saturday so he could show up to AEW on Saturday night.
Tony will pay him more.
I'm sure he did get paid more. Plus, even if Matt Cardona left, he still had Heath Slater, still had the Dylan there, and Brian Myers was there. So they were still selling all their merch, because they're the Major Brothers. They're the ones that are coming out with this new line of figures, like the LJNs, the big hard rubber guys. They have their own line coming out. And they already have some out, like Ric Flair, Andre the Giant, Marty Jannetty. And they actually have their own, like, similar looking Hasbros, like the whole Dusty ones. They're creating their own figures. I'm sure they got a backer, but it's called the Major Brothers, and they got Bindies too. So, I mean, they're making money hand over fist, those group of guys, but it's kind of cool that they have a group. But, yeah, so I was kind of shocked because I got that email saying, hey, if you signed up for an autograph session, we'll reimburse you. And then later that night, I find out he pops up on AEW. I was like, oh, that's why he wasn't there,
But we got to go back one second. It's never been confirmed that we were having a Mayfest next year. So you
No,
kind
it's
of
not.
just spilled the beans,
Well,
saying you're recruiting for next year already.
It's more wishful thinking.
yeah, it's wishful thinking. As long as Herb is still the promoter of SICW and Stephen E is not the owner, um, I don't think Herb will ever say, let's not do a fan fest. I think now that he's done one, and if this one is successful, why not continue it on? And, if Herb does decide to sell it or retire, hopefully, Jason takes it over and keeps it in the family, and then we all stay with that group and keep continuing on with the Mayfest. Because hands down, we're the biggest company in St. Louis. And we have the history tied to St. Louis with the lineage of the Herb, the Larry, the Sam. So
Which some Larry stuff is going to be our stuff for tomorrow.
cool.
Those who are watching, it was Tuesday.
So we have everything. We've wrestled all the major places. The Fox Theater, the History Museum, the MAC, which is the Missouri Athletic Club. We're going to be doing the racetrack here in a month or two. Fan Fest last year. So, even when the NWA comes to town, we're still the biggest wrestling promotion in St. Louis. And I figure as long as there's a Simmons in SICW, whether it be Herb, Jason, or his daughter, or the other sons, we'll continue on with SICW. That can all get changed if Stephen E., throws out the biggest number in the world and Herb can't say no. But hopefully, with the group of us guys, Bobby being the first shot here, as you threw up the poster for April 6th, it's Bobby versus Attila, which is Stephen E.'s main guy. So, hopefully Bobby can knock him down a peg. I got Peyton Ayers that night, so hopefully I can knock him down a peg. And, we all know that the band is getting back together, which is, Ron Powers, Danny Boy, Gary Jackson, so the band getting back together. And, if you guys heard Danny's little promo that he posted on his page, he talked about how, he didn't want to get back into wrestling, but he wanted to show support for wrestling and start showing up to the shows. And he didn't like what he saw. and that's why he wanted to be a ref, because he wanted to get the playing field back to being even. And then, Ron showed up to see Danny, and of course, Ron doesn't like what he sees. So, that whole group, Gary's part of that group. So, if they do get the back together, that's great, and hopefully they can just, kick Stephen E's ass out of here. But I think it's up to us, Bobby with Attila, me with Peyton, to start that peg knocking down to get that domino effect to happen,
I'm going to start it Saturday.
Right, So it's a good
It's
time.
funny.
If you read the card, it's this Saturday, April 6th. Doors open at 6. Show starts at 7. Bobby here's the main event. Bobby and Attila. Watch out for the fork. And
Fireball.
if you take the ticket stub from Saturday's show, of course, that's Sunday. You can get into the TV tapings that start at noon. I would recommend showing up about 11:30. The doors will open up right before noon, so you get settled in before they start taping. But then you get to watch 4 hours of wrestling for free just by taking your ticket stub to the TV tapings.
That's awesome. But back, I want to say something about Danny Boy and his wrestling. He's
Go
done
ahead.
it twice, and so far, each time he's wrestled, he has smacked a wrestler.
You mean refed?
Yeah, ref. Sorry, ref.
And that's fine with him. Fine with me. He can smack all the wrestlers he wants, because it always is a Stephen E guy.
I say the one with me, it was not Stephen E guy. It was Team A.
Oh, well,
and he smacked a guy that wasn't supposed to be in the ring.
Well, see, that's good. I am fine with that.
He didn't touch any of the wrestlers in the match.
But yeah, so there's other matches that night. Like I said, I think Max Allward is coming.
Gil's gonna be there, isn't he?
Gil Rogers is supposed to be there. Of course, Gary has got. Huh?
It's Bill and Billy McNeil versus Axe, and who was Axe's partner?
Steve Fender, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
So right there, that could be a main event. Steve holds 2 titles right now on his own. He owns the Central States, which is Bobby's title, and he owns the National AIWF title. So anytime he's in a match, and plus he just had a title shot for the NWA heavyweight champion, the 10 pounds of gold, which he did not succeed on. So that knocks him down a peg. Hopefully, Billy McNeil and the other guy could knock him down even more. So that'd be great.
You got the A team that's going to lose to the Top Guns.
Oh yeah, Top Guns. This is officially their first title defense on a show, so they're going to be aiming to keep those belts. So my bets are on the Top Guns.
And I don't know what they're doing, but we are getting an official return of the professionals.
I heard that too.
So that's a good one right there.
Yeah, and they're part of Dogtown Underground now, so that's kind of weird because the LA Hustlers are suspended, and even their manager, Lucky P. Larson, is suspended. So it's kind of weird that was a whole group, and then the professionals got hurt, sidelined, and the LA Hustlers are running, and then the LA Hustlers get suspended, kicked out, and now the professionals are back. So it's almost like the professionals are taking the spot of their partners, the LA Hustlers.
Yeah, but with this suspension, can the are they not in the building, or can they come in as valets for the professional?
I want to say, they're suspended, so they can't even be in the house.
Professionals don't need any help. Those two are veterans that've been around a long time. They know what they're doing. Sean Soto's gotten the best shape of his life now. They don't need Lucky and anyone else helping them. They're 2 dangerous guys on their own.
Yeah, so you got that. You got Gary
Yeah, but
Jackson.
we've known the LA Hustlers for over a year and their style.
Well, I mean, you never know. Uh, yeah, I mean that's what you can say is you never know what's going to happen. Another match, like I was starting to say, Gary Jackson. He's going against a guy we don't know much about. He's a Russian. He's been fighting down in Mid-South area. The Top Guns, I was talking to them over the weekend, and they said that they seen them at one of the Memphis tapings, and they, he speaks Russian, so it's not, they couldn't, carry a conversation, nor did they want to carry a conversation with them. So we don't know much about this guy, but Gary Jackson, Mr. USA, basically, is going to take on him. And I don't think he's affiliated. This Russian guy's affiliated with any group yet, or thank God. Hopefully he's just on his own, and then Gary can squash him and send him packing. That would be great.
And his name again is Victor Petrov. Just for the record.
Petrov.
Not too much is known about the guy, so I guess we'll see him there. And
Do you think if I gave Gary a Ukrainian flag, he'd put it over Victor when he beats him?
I bet you that'd be great. That'd be great for TV, Nate. If you can get that done, that'd be.
I
See, I'm going through her stages. I'm not seeing any other official matches, so.
Yeah, so I think that's what we know of so far. But any of those matches that we just mentioned could be the main event. However, Bobby has earned this slot against Attila, so Bobby's got the main event, and Attila is one bad motherfucker. So hopefully, Bobby, like I said, can knock a peg or two out of Stephen E's little group. And,
well, like I said in one of my interviews, he can take that fork, and I know it's coming. And when I'm done with him, he'll be spooning with Stephen E. So.
Well, I expect you to make him bleed, and not the other way around.
See what I can do.
Right. Now, I'm pretty sure that Bull Bronson is going to make his way there Saturday. Now, he's not in a match or anything, and just from his threats at the TV taping, that if you guys would have caught it on Sunday, when the TV show SICW was on YouTube, it ended with me and Bull staring each other down in the ring, doing a little push fight thing, but he said he was coming after me. So, the next shot that he has to come after me is on the 6th. So I'm not saying he's going to be there, but I'm going to watch my back just like he is going to be there. Besides that, Peyton's got Attila and Attila's got Peyton. So, and, there's other little henchmen that they like to bring into their fold. Like that German guy, the Uber Destroyer, Stephen E's been using him to actually do the fireball thing. So, be interesting who shows up. But as long as Bobby's there, I'm there, and Gary Jackson's there, pretty much all three of us are going to stick together and have each other's back. So
we all have your back 10 feet away behind the camera.
Not too sure that's going to help. But
he's got her back from a distance.
Yeah.
They'll throw one of those fit soda bottles at us right at the opponent. Hopefully not at us.
You want a monster? Here you go. Heck of fire in there.
What were you drinking earlier? Those Virgin Marys? Last episode?
Well, I do like the Catholic girls. I never touched a Virgin Mary. Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple, that's what. Yeah, same thing.
Wasn't that a Fitz's one, though?
It was.
Yeah. That's why I threw that Fitz reference out there.
Right, and I capitalized on it because I knew it was part of it. But I knew it was a funny.
Now you just got to get that sponsorship.
We do. I need to email them, though.
There you go. One St. Louis company helping out another St. Louis company. It all fits.
That's what we're going for.
But yeah, it was a great time, and I hope. The funny thing is I was walking in with the SICW hoodie on, and as I walked into the hotel, Mere seconds in, there was already a guy that was in line and stopped me and said, "Hey, I'm going to that next month." He wanted to sit there and talk, but everyone was in a hurry to get in line and everything. And he goes, "Are you one of the wrestlers there?" And I said, "Well, I'm their champion right now." And he goes, "Awesome." He goes, "I will see you next month." And then throughout the night, a lot of people, and we handed out flyers there too. I'll be proud of that. We tried to steal some of their customers, but it's all for the love of wrestling.
Recruiting customers. You guys got on me for that one, so it's recruiting.
But yeah, so we handed out some flyers, and some people were already saying, "Yeah, we already got our tickets." And and then other ones were like, "Man, this is awesome. This is 60 plus," because there wasn't 60, legends there. I bet you there was probably 25 on Friday. They had like I said, they had a wrestling show, so all those guys had a table as well. But let me do the math here real quick. In one room, you had Lana, you had Lita, you had the Headbangers, so that's 4. You had EC3, you had the Boogeyman, you had Dustin Rhodes. Let's see here, you had Brooklyn Brawler. You had the Birdman, which is God, we had him in. Now I can't think of his name. The guy who came out with Frankie back in the day, the Bird. You guys have no clue.
He was in our trivia too.
Yeah. So man, I can't believe I can't think of his name. So that was in one room. Oh, you had the girl that was the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion, who is the wife of the guy who's running SmackDown. God,
Now, this is counting their local wrestlers that I don't know many of them, but there's 81 listed on their website.
Yeah, well, it was a 2-day thing.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of them that say Friday only, Saturday only, like Ray Phoenix is Saturday only.
Yeah.
Penta was Saturday only.
So what I have like 10 so far, and then you had Nations, so that's 14. You had Matt Cardona's group, so that's another 4. You had Jim Duggan was there too, and then you had so maybe 30 people, legend wise, that was there on Friday, and then they kind of traded to some of the people that were on Saturday. So with the local guys and the guys from Ohio Valley Wrestling that was there, which are still, they're a step up, but they're still local guys.
Yeah, I think that's some of these that are listed on here too, because there's just a couple people that they're younger and I don't recognize them, so I'm going to guess they're not legends.
Yeah. But we got over 60 in one night, which is crazy because I don't know where we're all going to put them.
I don't know, because the vast majority stay for the wrestling show and the Bruiser Brody Cup championship.
You didn't list Christy Hemme?
I didn't see her. She must have been a Saturday.
It doesn't say Saturday only.
No, I didn't see her.
I wonder if there's some that are put on the website, but they were cancellations too.
Well, Greg the Hammer Valentine was supposed to be there, but he canceled, and they said it was a medical issue. Tugboat was supposed to be there, but he got on social media and said, "Hey, my wife, we just admitted her to the hospital. So she had something done. So, of course, family first. So he couldn't be there."
Is Fandango going as Dirty Dango now?
Yeah, and he was there.
Yeah, that's one of them listed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it was a great weekend. Friday, it was a great going there and seeing everyone, and some of the guys I knew, like Rip Rogers. He immediately was like, what's up, Texan? And Scott was the same. And
Well, a lot of those guys are friends
you're
of
right.
SICW and the Squared Ring, not to be confused with the Square Circle, Jim.
Saturday Haku was there.
Yes, I seen that.
Eric Bischoff too. That would be a great mind to pick.
Yeah, Bischoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was another one that was crazy on his prices. It was like $80 and $100.
Is he there Friday? This Saturday only.
Yeah, he wasn't there Friday, but I know he was supposed to be there Saturday. I mean, I could have probably stayed out there both days, and I told Nick, I said, man, I could just sleep in the car. I just sleep out there and wake up and go back in. Because I mean, just to meet everyone that was there. Plus, we could have shot the phone number, to Herb and to Nick, to all the other guys that came in on Saturday. Because,
So Marty Jannetty on here, did he actually show up?
I didn't see him.
That's his reputation.
And they were pushing because Matt Cardona, like I said, his major Bendy's figure line, they have like an LJN style Marty Jannetty, and they were pushing it. Hey, he'll be here. You can get his autograph on it, and it'll be he's the first series in our line. So once we sell out, we sold out. We're not making this line anymore. So you might as well buy it and get it autographed right now. And then I didn't see him. I've never heard about him too ever showing up. So
that sounds about right.
But yeah, so if you ever, evidently this has been going on for years, this particular expo. So it's been around for a while, and that's why the fans know about it. And I think that's what we need to build for ours, is because we're just into the second year. So not everyone knows about it. So if you guys out there watching this could share this and really build up the fan base coming to this, we can guarantee that if the fans are showing up in troves, that this will continue on, for the years coming. So
had
that would be
Shane Douglas
there. Shane Douglas?
Yeah.
Yes, he was there. Yeah, and there's going to be some oddball ones that I'm trying to remember too. They had quite a few Mexican wrestlers there. And
I say your oddball ones here, like Paul Burchill. He made it to WWE, but he wasn't much there.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a pirate. But you got the always hot Mickey James that was there.
Mickey James, that was the girl I was trying to think of, being the wife of the guy who's running SmackDown. I still can't think of his name, and I know he came in the SICW because he was
Nick
once
Aldis?
Yeah.
How'd you forget Nick?
I did. Like I said, chairs to the head take away your memory.
Yeah, but didn't you wrestle Nick?
No, I didn't wrestle him. I was actually on his side.
Oh.
Yeah, the Headbangers there. That's a good one.
Yeah. Didn't I say the Headbangers?
So no, when I start reading, I have trouble doing two things at once.
No.
Couldn't remember your tag team partner.
Well,
a heavy chair.
It wasn't really a tag team. He was getting beat up by Attila and his little henchmen, and so I slid in to help defend Nick Aldis. And Mickey James, I don't know why I forgot her name, because she was like the sweetest lady I've ever met. Met her at the CAC. We did. Her husband had I think I brought this up before too. They were trying to do a game show, and they were trying to get that made, and they were making it here in St. Louis. So we went up, did the first two episodes of his game show, and hung out afterwards. Yeah, she's very nice. And yeah, so she was there. The funny thing is Don, the guy that went with us, and Don is a friend of SICW. He's there constantly to even the TV tapings and the house shows. But Don wanted to meet Lena, and her line was long too. And he tried 3 times. He'd get in line and wait forever, and then that's when we wanted to go to dinner. So he had to come out and go to dinner, and then he'd go back and wait. And some of the very popular ones had hours blocked off to where you can actually pay a certain fee and actually have a professional camera guy take your pictures together. And it was like a little package deal that, and of course, it was more expensive too. But that, blocked off hours. And so in one part, he was waiting in the line, and then they shut down her line so she can go off and do this hour-long photo shoot with the fans that paid that money. So he lost the line again. So it was just funny. But Lena was married, and she was married to Rusev in WWE.
I was wondering who you were trying to say, Lita or Lana. You're talking about Lana or CJ Perry.
Yeah, CJ Perry. He made it to AEW once he got let go from WWE. And then she got let go, and then now she's in AEW with him. But now they're going through a divorce. So it's like they both made it to WWE, both got cut. And it's very rare that they get picked up like that. But Rusev got picked up right away from AEW. And then it took about a year and a half for them to pick up CJ Perry. But now that they're finally working together again, now they're actually going through a divorce in real life.
Too much time together. Need some space.
Right. But yeah, that was Don's number one person he wanted to get the autographs from. Just didn't happen. But
now, does Christy Hemme still look like her magazine?
I didn't see her.
Man.
Yeah. There was another girl, Terry Reynolds. She wasn't scheduled to be there. She was just there. And she does not look like anything like she used to.
So you got Deborah McMichael was there.
Yeah. Deborah McMichael was there too. She wasn't there right from the beginning. But time has crept up on her too. She is an older lady, so no hard feelings. Hopefully, with me saying that, but maybe Terry Reynolds wasn't there. Maybe it was Deborah McMichael that I was trying to think of. Could have been. Either way. Yeah, definitely. If you guys ever want to go next year, you guys can come along with, and we can have a little. Because we can actually do the same thing like people are doing for Arme Fest, where they're coming in and doing a little broadcast outside the room, maybe doing some sit-down interviews. Well, they have that capability up there too. And a lot of people in the hallway were different podcasters that were holding their podcast in the hallway. So any one of the wrestlers that were running by, they can stop by and talk, or even they can get the fans on and stuff like that. So that might be an option too if we ever get remote stuff that we can take remotely to somewhere else and have this done. But
well, for us, it's even more complicated because we're the ones that record everything for SICW when it comes to stuff like that. So
yeah, but we had no SICW stuff going on this weekend, so that's why I was like, cool, got a weekend off. Let's go out there and see what we can pull off. And it was.
I didn't find out about that until.
SICW.
I didn't find out about it until you said it on the podcast. So.
Yeah, but the first time I said the wrong date.
Even worse. Yep.
Because I thought originally it was Not last Friday, but the Friday before. Matter of fact, I even took a day off from my day job, threw in a vacation day, and then when I met up with Nick, talking to him over the phone, like, hey, when are we getting together? He goes, oh, Texan, I told you the wrong day. It's the following Friday. So I rekindled my vacation day, and since this past Friday was Good Friday, I was actually off and paid for it, so made it even sweeter. But
It's getting on 10. How longer did you want to go?
well, let's throw it out to you guys. How was your guys' weekends? It was Easter. How was your Easter?
Oh, it was good. Kids hunted some eggs and didn't really do much beyond that. It was a nice, easy day.
Did you have the traditional Easter dinner? Ham and stuff.
No. What did we do? We went out to eat somewhere. I don't remember. We ended up going out to Carbondale, taking the kids to that dragon park, hit a hike in the woods out there in Giant City.
The Dragon Park, is that the
Oh, we
one
went
that's
to
shaped
Denny's
like a
after.
castle?
No, there was like sculptures of dragons everywhere. There was like a castle playground for the kids too. But
Yeah, so me and Amy's actually been out to that place too. We didn't have any kids with us. We rented like a cabin out there, like an
yeah, that was probably over
Airbnb.
towards Giant City. That's where
Yes,
all the woods are and everything. That's where
yeah,
we hit a walking trail after that. Good time.
yeah. When we did that, we stayed for like a weekend and did a walking trail, and then found that playground with all the dragons and stuff. That was pretty cool.
And then
Uh,
everything was closed for dinner, so we ended up going to Denny's because they're never closed.
yeah. Nate, what'd you do? You not working, or were they closed?
Oh no, I ended up working because they
Uh,
can't do. It was me just acting like the financial, me just being the bank again as usual, cleaning up their messes. This time to the tone of $4,000.
ooh, well, we won't get into that, but I will say that it's kind of crappy that places are still open on holidays like that. I know Easter is kind of like a religious holiday, but it's been more kid friendly as a holiday. And I think places should actually, we should almost go back to our roots. Back in the 50s and 60s, and everything closed on Sunday, or, all major holidays, that's your family get together. If I were to say one thing, that's one thing about my family is we don't get together. Either on my mom's side or my father's side, it's always been kind of your immediate family, like me and the wife and the kids. But like the grandparents on either sides, it's not like a family thing. And I think everyone should get back to that kind of stuff. You know, on your holidays, major holidays, get together as a family. Uh, me and my cousins joked about, and it's a bad joke, but even my cousins that I grew up with, one of them lived with us for a while. Even my cousins, we only get together on funerals, and you're like, the funeral is our family reunion. And I would like to, maybe it's me just getting old, but it shouldn't be that way. I think the families need to get together a little bit more often.
Yeah,
But
our family used to do that to the point where we would have to rent out state parks, but
yeah,
everybody's dead. Oh,
oh,
sorry, YouTube unalive.
um,
Very old world family, and that
yeah,
includes most of the age. And the ones that have come up to replace are not. Let's just say they're modern.
gotcha. Now we have one granddaughter, so she was here, and we did do an Easter egg hunt for her. But we had her, actually since Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Of course, I was out of town Friday, and then half the day Sunday. So the morning part of Sunday, we let her do the Easter egg hunt, and then that afternoon I barbecued. So chicken and brats and hot dogs, and it's just a beautiful weekend. All together. And then here in a couple hours, we're supposed to have a thunderstorm and everything else. It's supposed to last for 3 days, off and on. I don't know if you guys read
And
that far to the weather.
and tornado warnings
Yeah, so
for all 3 days. So.
it's
So
going
I
to get.
thought I heard the rain start already, and there's been a couple times you guys have froze on my screen, which
Oh,
usually
you
happens during the storms.
haven't froze over here, but yeah, I know it's supposed to kick up here pretty soon. And then the rest of the week, we're going to be hanging around 48 or in the low 50s. Coming off like today, it was 81 degrees outside. And boom, we're going to get this storm tonight, and then, back to basically fall weather the rest of the week.
Good. It won't be so hot. I don't turn ACs on yet. That's all windows.
Oh, no, I have.
Too
Me
early
being
for
a
the
fat
AC.
guy, I have to have the AC on because
Oh,
I
I'm
cannot
sweating
sleep.
like a grease pig, but it's 84 degrees in my house, and I'm too cheap. So
Whew. No, I can't sleep when I'm hot. If I'm hot and sweating, there ain't no way I'm sleeping. So I got to have a fan on, AC on. And as I told the wife, because she complains about it being so cold, I said, there's just so much that I can take off, but you can put a whole bunch of more on.
not usually what you tell her.
Well, got me there. But yeah, so I mean, it was an awesome weekend. And this weekend we got wrestling both nights. Saturday, like I said, Sunday on the TV taping. So it's going to be a great weekend next weekend. And then, then it's a week or so off, and then it's running to the races because the last half of the year is where all the extra shows pop up and all the great shows pop up, and it's going to be awesome.
Now, is there a match or a show in between the 6th and the Mayfest? Because I thought there was supposed to be another one in between.
Yeah, there is. There's on my list at least.
Yeah, there's another one at the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
That'll be
my
the
list.
last fairgrounds one for this year, I believe.
Yeah, I want to say so as well.
I need to get an updated list.
I'll find it tomorrow and I'll shoot it to you because
I'll shoot it to you tonight. I got it saved in my phone.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, so it was a great weekend. We didn't see you guys on Easter, so everyone out there, happy Easter. Of course, you won't see this for a while, so happy belated or belated Easter.
Yeah, belated.
But let's see here. Anything happening in the wrestling world that you guys know of? We got WrestleMania right around the corner.
Not really.
Cody Rhodes is going to
I
finish
say
the
everything's
story.
just gearing up for Mania, so.
Yeah, The Rock is going to turn on Roman Reigns. What else? Randy Orton's going to win the Intercontinental Championship. No, I don't even think he's in that match.
A lot of conspiracy theories that we'll have Cena and who was it?
Stone Cold?
Yeah, Cena and Stone Cold. Just because that trailer that was parked out back, and it's not their normal trailer.
Right. There was even talks of the Undertaker coming out. And maybe you guys don't know this. Every major pay-per-view, Undertaker does his one-man show like 1 or 2 days prior. Because his one-man show is actually brought to you by the WWE. So they're actually in control of where he goes. And so they're basically, keeping him in tow with whatever pay-per-view, wherever that is. That's where he's going to be. So he's going to be in town for it. So it would be nice for him to...
I have the list of AEW's releases that they fired today.
Wow, I didn't hear that they fired people. Who they fired?
Stu Grayson, Dasha, the ring announcer, Anthony Henry, Dalton Castleboy, Slim J, Gravity, Jose the assistant, Parker Boudreaux, and Jorah Joel.
Don't know any one of those guys, so that's probably why they're gone. I hate to say that because they made it to the dance. But we talked about it before that AEW has a roster that's out of control. Even though that they own AEW and they own Ring of Honor, and they try to keep them separated, but they intermingle every now and then. It's still a lot of wrestlers that he that he has contracts with. So
So I just Googled like just kind of WWE news and stuff, and I don't know if this was just put on Raw because this was just written 2 hours ago. The Rock's going to induct his grandma, Leah Maybe, into the Hall of Fame.
I heard rumors about that, but I didn't hear anything special. I mean, like concrete. So that's kind of cool. She had her own promotion. If you guys ever watched The Young Rock, did you guys ever watch any of that? That was actually a pretty good TV show, and it sucks that it ended. And I heard it ended because his last movie, Black Adam, didn't take off like it was supposed to. And somehow it intertwined with that sitcom. But that showed a lot of behind the scenes of his family and how, his grandfather actually ran an organization in Hawaii. And then once his grandfather passed, his grandmother took it over. And then even his parents had like another association that was battling his grandmothers so for a little while, and then they merged and got together again. But then the grandmother got kicked out of Hawaii, so basically she had to flee to the United States, and so the whole family picked up and moved to Florida. But it was a great TV program, especially the other one that I used to watch. Was it Heels? That was a great wrestling, TV show, and that got taken out. It only had 2 seasons as well, and I think The Young Rock only had 2 seasons. Maybe it made it to 3, but both those shows I thought were great. Um, Heels I thought was really excellent. They had great storylines, and that's flipping back to AEW. When you have a roster that's so deep, it's hard to get storylines where everyone can be involved. And that's why I think he's having problems. Was it Tony Khan? I think that's his main problem is he can't tell storylines, or at least no one there is being able to make up storylines that you can follow and get behind. And when you have so many people on the roster, you have a lot of people just sitting out. Of course they're getting paid, but they're not being used.
So their current stable, even after the ones I named off, is 198 in
See,
AEW on their roster.
that's just crazy. I mean, granted, they have a bunch of TV shows, that they can use all these people at, but that takes away from building up the storyline for your main guys. It's kind of like how WWE used to do it. Before it was a brand split, SmackDown, ran the same storyline as Monday Night Raw. And of course, so it was Monday, then it was Friday, and that normally led into Sunday, which would be your pay-per-view. But you would have a Sunday 1 hour recap show before you go into the pay-per-view. So you can build the storylines Monday and Friday, recap it on Sunday before you go into the pay-per-view, and then, you can figure out the whole thing. And I think that's what AEW is missing is you got one or two people, like they hire you in, they run a storyline with you for a couple months, and then they drop you down a peg, hire someone else in, run a storyline with them for a few months, and it's like in a rotation. But 190 people, it's hard to get a great rotation with that many people.
Yeah, TNA
Definitely
only
can't tell a
has
story
80.
with 198.
I agree with
TNA
both of
only
you.
has 98.
No,
I
TNA
was just
has
finishing.
80.
I was
Yeah,
finishing
go
my
ahead.
statement. You can't tell a story with 198 people.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I don't know how many. Can you figure out how many WWE has? Because they have
234, but that includes ancillary personnel like
In 3 different shows.
yeah.
right. And
That
that's
includes SmackDown, Raw, NXT, Free Agent, and the other roles ancillary. Those are all that's company wide.
yeah. Plus, don't let them lie to you. They have their hands in other countries still, and they help supply and help pay some local companies too. They kind of feed into their system. They've always done that. Back in the time where it was Florida Championship Wrestling, or when it was in Ohio, where our friend Gil Rogers came from. They were paying that company. And I know they're big in the UK because they still have a UK championship too. So it's a whole bunch of stuff that they got their hands about. But a little over 100, you said 135. With three different separate companies, because basically, Raw and SmackDown is two different rosters. Now, of course, right now you have the Cody and the Roman Empire, kind of clash on both. But then NXT is separate, so you know.
Yeah,
Plus,
it's
they know how to tell
238,
stories.
including WWE, Raw, NXT, and then the announcers and referees. Those are all included.
Yeah,
So
but they
Tony
can.
Khan is stable. He needs to cut down on it by half.
A lot of people, and we can wrap this up after this, but a lot of people think they should have closed down Ring of Honor and just kept the library. Kind of like what WWE did to WCW. They closed them down, but kept the library so they can have the whole backstory of a particular wrestler. Um, who knows? Only time will tell. But as long as there's more than one company out there, it's a good time for wrestling. For wrestlers themselves. So the more companies are out there, whether it be MLW or whether it be TNA or NWA, AEW, WWF, more, the better off we are. The more
Wrestling
chances,
is the oldest sport in the world. So
right? So, but man, WrestleMania is just right around the corner, and that's one show that I normally watch. Now, us wrestlers, we have our own show for night one, so we'll have to watch it at a later time. And I don't know about you, Bobby or Nate, but right after our show, I'm still good for like 2 or 3 hours before the adrenaline runs down, and then I get tired. So
Oh,
sometimes it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before I actually wind down. So that's probably when I'll watch night one, and then
well, for me, 2 or 3 hours afterwards is compiling all the video.
that's a lot of video too. So more
that
power
could
to
be
do
done.
that right afterwards, but I couldn't do that.
Gonna be even more.
It's crazy. But all right, I don't know how long it's been, but it's been long enough. So everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hey, and I caught up to our YouTube channel today. I had time to watch my match from Saturday. I think I actually watched it Sunday too, but I noticed the views are pretty high for a full length match that we got up there. There was over like 230 views on our match, the tag match with me and Bull versus Attila and Peyton Of course, if you guys watched it, if you haven't, spoiler, Bull Bronson turns on me, and all three of them blooded me up pretty good. And that's all in there. And that might be why we got some reviews. But I want to say thank you all for tuning into that match. It means a lot to all of us that you guys are taking your time to actually watch a full length match. I know the viewership is normally, short spanned. So, anything that's quick to normally watch, but appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And same thing for our podcasts. We don't get anything out of this for showing up and sharing everything, but we love to do it. And that's why we do it. So if you guys could, like, share, comment. We're still trying to push for that 500 subscription. I think we're actually going to get to the hours viewed before we get to 500, but we'll take it either way. But our first goal is these 500 subscribees. So if you guys could subscribe, share it to your friends so they can subscribe as well. There's going to be some things that we're going to pop up on here, and maybe just like a quick 5-minute shout out saying, hey, this particular guy is coming to the Mayfest last minute, but we wanted to surprise you with it, because I know in the back of my head there is one already that we're just waiting. Herb is waiting for the okay to say the name, and man, once he says this name, it's going to blow up. I'll just give a tease. His whole family. No, I won't even say that.
Yeah,
I
don't
won't
even
say
tease it.
no tease.
No
But
teasing.
once he says it, once Herb says it and gives the okay, once he gets the okay and Herb gives the okay, we'll let you guys know, because man, it's gonna blow this Mayfest up. So if you haven't got your tickets to Mayfest, buy them now. I think the hotel is pretty much booked up, and I've heard from some people from Friday, I don't know, but they said they actually had the book. There's a hotel across the street or down the street that they're actually starting to book that hotel just because our hotel is already full. So, but once this name gets released, man, it's going to be a game changer. Not that the legends that we have already aren't game changers in the industry. We took most of this program and talked about the Nation of Domination. You got one of those guys coming, which is Papa Shango slash. Now I fucking forget.
Soul Taker.
Well, you said the old one. What's this new one? The Godfather.
Godfather.
Man. So that's one of the Nation of Domination that we just talked about this whole hour. So it's great to have the people that we have, but I think this one guy is going to be great as well. It's going to be a game changer. But if we get the okay, we'll share it on here. But yeah, again, just please like, share, comment. Get us up to this 500 level, so that way we can start earning a little bit. YouTube at the 500 subscriber level isn't much at all, but everything that we get, we're going to throw right back into this company. Whether it be getting a special guest, whether it be getting better equipment. All right, I'm going to stop running my mouth. Like I said, I have the gift of gab. So for everyone at the Squared Ring Podcast, thank you for tuning in. Please like and share. We love you guys. Peace. Have a good night. All right, you guys going to stay on for a second?